I'm Jeff Biggs, and are we like in full draft mode now?
I'm Landon McCool, and I'm always in full draft mode.
You are.
Glenn Stretch Smith, and the answer is yes, because we knew crap in free agency.
How about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
You always have to squad up. That is the key. Got to squad up. And as you know, the real March Madness is here because we've had the Cowboys offseason. It's been the whole offseason. That's been the real madness. But hey, you know what? Forget the brackets because right now it's all about the draft boards and also another edition of the Cowboy Squad Show. Great to be with you on this Thursday night. We say a welcome and a hello to the co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, the one and only Landon McCool, and former Cowboys coach, the one and only Glenn Stretch Smith. We got two one and onlys. Aisha Morrison will be back with us next week, as will Marcus Mosier, who I know is around, and he's got his hands full, but he's been busy on the Daily Show. We'll get into that a little bit more later on. But lots to get to today. We've got the very latest on the Cowboys, including the countdown to the NFL draft. Can't believe it. I mean, it's like literally just over a month away until the NFL draft. I mean, we were wondering, man, okay, Super Bowl's over. What are we going to do now? And here we are. We got the draft, and before we know it, training camp's going to be here. The season's going to start. It's nuts.
There's no break. You
No.
know, there's. I mean, listen, as someone who's been doing a daily podcast about this team for 10 years now, whatever it's been. Yeah, I'll tell you, there's probably like a true 1 week break, right after the Super Bowl. And then after that, I mean, you're getting into Senior Bowl stuff. They've already started the All-Star games before the Senior Bowl now, so you got to look at those as well. Yeah, I mean, there is not really a break from the NFL if you're covering it or if you're a part of it. It's 24/7, 365. You get your naps where you can, basically.
And they, the NFL owners have made it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made it a year-round business. They know that I've always taken the mentality, you're either hammer or the nail. The NFL is always the hammer. It's
right.
Always the hammer. I mean, there's more people talking about what's going on in pro football with college workouts, with free agency, than there is the NBA. I mean, I'm just being honest about it. I mean, in March Madness, I wouldn't go across Saratoga Lane to watch it right now. By the way, Jeff, that's a street I live on.
Okay. Don't tell anybody, right? You're going to have a bunch of fans, Squad Show fans showing up at your house.
Coach Stretch self-doxing himself. That's not good. That's not a good look.
Well, I'll say this.
I'm just telling you, it's always football time for me.
It's always football.
Hey, I mean, do I respect basketball and what they do and college baseball? Was I entertained the other night by the World Baseball Classic? Absolutely, I was. But at the end of the day, it's always been about football for the Stretch.
I agree, Coach.
There's a couple things on the horizon or being kicked around in NFL circles that I'm not crazy about. We'll get into those later on. I don't want to get into that right now. We'll save that. And I would just add to your point, Coach, that I would say maybe 10 years ago or so, I thought the NBA was, they were gaining ground in second. And I think over the last few years, and I hate to say it, as somebody that got to be a part of the league at its peak, I mean, they've really taken some big steps back in the wrong and tanking and all that. It's just, it's tough to watch right now. So anyway, another topic for another time. Okay, so want to get into the draft, and I know you got a lot to say about that, Landon, but before we do, because I know you guys have been talking about this all week, we're supposedly in the second wave, right, of NFL free agency, and we talked.
We're well into 3 or 4 at this point, right? Like all the waves are dissipating at this point. Yeah,
that's right. It's flat right now.
That's right.
We talked about this on Monday, though. The one big thing that, the Cowboys they've moved some pieces on the D line. I think without a doubt, they've bolstered the secondary, right? But they still have that big hole in the middle linebacker spot, and barring something that we don't know, really, it leaves the options of either making a trade with another team to get a good vet, right? Like we've talked about, or signing somebody that's still out there, like a veteran like Bobby Wagner, who's been kicked around, or
he's been kicked around.
drafting your next starter, in a few weeks. So I'm just curious, with that said, where you guys stand on that, how you feel about that. What does it say to you that they're in this spot right now?
Well, I prefer not to be in this spot. I prefer to have the negotiation with Jacoby Dean and have him in here. But I gotta say, if I'm gonna be in a spot where I have to find a starter, having to go find a linebacker to me is probably one of the better of the 3 that potentially have to go fill. Just because there's a lot of these guys in the draft. There's potentially some options if you want to look for a trade. And honestly, there's a couple bodies, like you mentioned, in free agency that you could sign and be at least feel okay about it. I think there are certainly worse spots to have to shop late for. But having said that, they still got to go out and do it. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly how they plan on attacking this. And honestly, what their contingency plan was to losing out to Jacoby Dean. Did they decide that after that, look, we were in on Quay Walker, we were in on Dean. I don't think we're interested in the rest of these bodies that are out there, and then decided at that point to pivot to the draft. I don't know, but I think it's interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how they fill this and if that was plan B or plan Q.
They made a play at Max Crosby. They made a play at Jacoby Dean, and we knew going into this scenario, free agency and draft, in my mind, this football team needed 3 impact players on the defensive side of the football. That's what I felt like they needed. I think they needed another linebacker. I feel like they needed an impact guy at defensive end and a guy in the back end of the defense. We're sitting here, whatever phase you guys want to tell me it is in free agency, I don't care. They haven't addressed one damn thing. Okay, they got depth at safety. I'm okay with that. Okay, they made a trade for Gary. I'm okay with that. I said 3 impact players, and I'm not sure as I sit here today on the 19th of March that they have done that. Gotten themselves 3 impact players. Now, does that mean you can do it in the draft? I question if that's a possibility. I'm saying getting 3 of them.
Yeah, I think, the odds of getting impact players in free agency weren't great either. I think that's what most of the free agents that make it nowadays to free agency are not signed for a reason, especially with the way that the cap is now. The good players don't make it to free agency usually.
No, but would Crosby have been an impact player for your defense?
Yes, but that's a trade. Yeah.
Okay. Would Hendrickson have been an impact player for your defense?
I think that's the one that you can make an argument about, but he's also the top player.
Better than anything you got.
Yeah,
better than anything you got right now.
Well, yeah, but in that case, Rashawn Gary was better than anything you had outside.
Yeah, would Dean have been an impact player?
I think he would have been a starter, which you're still searching for. I don't know.
Better than what you got. The guy you had starting there last year just retired at 29 years old.
I guess my point being that, if we view Dean as an impact player, I think you can draft an impact player, because I think you could draft somebody as good as Dean in the 1st or 3rd round, honestly. I think, to me, it seems like the approach that they're taking is let's fill out the middle class of our roster in free agency, where the efficiency of spending is a little bit closer to what we're looking for, and then try to get the top end big splash players in the draft, which again makes sense if you're just trying to get some control over the budget on how you ingest some of these top end players. The question is that you've left yourself to a spot where there's not a lot of room for error. But to be fair, there wasn't a lot of room for error to begin with.
No room for error.
Well,
right?
I mean, look, how much room was there to begin with? I think you talk about like impact players, but let's reset the board. And even the players that ultimately were available, I mean, outside of the ones that you mentioned, one of which that cost more than a first round pick to get, there weren't a lot of guys that were out there that were huge impact players in the free agent trade market necessarily, that, maybe were worth the squeeze. So the question becomes like, did they have a very selective eye of what they were going to attack in this portion of player acquisition? And then once they weren't able to get the guys that they were targeting, did they kind of go, you know what, we're not just going to spend bad money after good. We're going to hold on to it and see what we can get through the rest of the trade market and the draft. I don't know. We'll see. I think I wouldn't be shocked if there's still a trade to be made here as we get closer to the draft, or maybe even during the draft.
I mean, I think that's a possibility, but I mean, would Tyreek Woolen under a 1 year, $15 million deal not have upgraded your secondary?
I don't know. I mean, I think that Philadelphia is taking on some risk there. I mean, there's a reason Seattle let him go, right? Like he was very up and down at times. So, I mean, again, I think it's like if we're talking about I think it depends on what we're talking about with impact. Because honestly, like if we're talking
I'm saying you can't. You went into the off season.
Well, but Coach, you were.
Okay, hold on a minute. Hear me out. Right. You went into this off season with arguably the worst defense in the National Football League. Yeah. Right now, are we going to sit here and say that I'm looking for 3 Pro Bowl players? No, I'm looking for 3 upgrades that give you a chance. Just a minute. They give you a chance to get several critical stops in football games that you didn't get a year ago. That maybe allow you to go from a 7-8 win team to a 10-win team. All right. So if that's the case, I use the word impact your defense. Get in your backyard. Quit looking around what the hell everybody else is doing. Upgrade your backyard. Get your shrubs going a little bit. Get your fence fixed. Get your yard mowed right. And then in my mind, you could say, well, Rashawn Gary is better than what they had, and okay, I'd be okay with that. But I needed 3 guys that I felt like would contribute to getting those critical stops. And as I sit here today, I'm not sure that they have that. I'm not sure that they don't. Maybe the safety out of Arizona is a rolling ball of butcher knives. Okay, good. But you're still shoehorning yourself into having to go and absolutely knock a home run in the draft.
I that's fair, but I also think that having said that, you too quickly poo-pooed the moves that they did make, right? Like, I mean, Rashawn Gary is clearly an upgrade on what they had last year. Jalen Thompson, in my opinion, is clearly, I mean, look who was starting at safety next to Hooker last year. Yes, that was an upgrade at safety. The Durant comes in and he's an upgrade at corner. He would have been your number 1 corner in some of these games, considering what you were rolling out there. So if impact is basically upgrading to the point that you're exceeding past what you had last year, then yeah, I do think that they went out and got 3 impact players. But I think if we're talking about taking it to the next level, like leveling up and getting excellent players, that's where they still have work to do. And I think the reason I'm driving this home is because I think folks are too easily just kind of discounting the fact that the floor of this team was so terrible before. It was so bad. And the Cowboys have managed to do a lot of work on the floor on players that are going to be playing a lot of football for the Cowboys. They haven't made the impact that everyone wants with the big names at key positions yet. I absolutely agree. But I also think that there are so many people pissed off because they feel like the Cowboys haven't done anything, and they're so willing to look past the things that the Cowboys did do to kind of just put stability into this defense. And what did we talk about all last year is that these guys didn't know what they're doing. It doesn't feel like they have good coaching. It feels like their technique is terrible. Just having a competent coaching staff coming in here will raise the floor. You add in the kind of middle-class injection, it's better. The question is it good enough? And that's the answer why I think we say, no, it's not good enough, but it certainly is better than where it was last year.
I agree with you. They've upgraded the roster a little bit. Okay. I'm not saying that that's not the case. I'm saying that if you're there, first of all, there's going to be a learning curve for a defensive coordinator who's never called a defense. You're going to have to go through that. Do I think they'll be better? I do think they'll be better. Do I think they'll be better coached? I believe they'll be better coached. But you're going to have to fight through the learning curve of a guy that's never done it before, too. And so when I say impact guys, I'm talking about guys that I think immediately upgrade where you were from a year ago. And I mean immediately upgrade that. And, you know, you could sell me on the safety upgrading it. You could sell me. I mean, do I think Rashawn Gary is a lot better than what you got out of Clowney? Maybe. We'll see.
I think to both of your points, I think hitting on what you said, Landon, about fans overlooking the offseason thus far, and it's not finished yet. There's still time and still moves to be made, and we'll see about those trades. I think where people are having a hard time settling down is you had Jerry's comments about busting the budget, everybody on board with how bad the defense was last year, and kind of this sense of urgency that they needed to really take care of business. I mean, this no messing around. I mean, I think we all called it. Maybe it was you and Marcus, Landon. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like one of the biggest off seasons in franchise history, right? Going in out as we start. So, and again, not over yet, but I think a lot of fans feel like maybe where's the urgency? We don't want to punt on this season and just kind of, well, it'll be good for the offense, but they're not going to have the defense to really be able to do anything. And it's just, you feel kind of hopeless.
I mean, I've said this so many times too, like, we need to stop listening to Jerry, y'all. Like, just stop listening to him. Like, you know, like I don't know why anyone continues to do it. Like, I love him to death. I think he's fun. He's this circus ringleader. Stop. I don't want to hear the quote for what Jerry said. You know what I'm saying? Like,
all right.
I'm not saying for you. I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things. Yeah, you're gonna get this. Expectations breed resentment, and I think the problem is that Jerry continually sets the expectations at a weird spot. So yeah, I think we have to watch their feet, not their mouth.
I'd like to ask, Cowboys fans, hey, would you feel better right now sitting here again, the 19th of March? You didn't have the 20th pick. You traded Osa, which you did anyway, to San Francisco, and you gave up whatever else you had to give up. Would you feel better if Max Crosby was in the building? Would you feel better about what just happened in free agency and the offseason if that were the case?
I think so. I think they would. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's also a reason that Baltimore didn't do that trade.
Yeah.
Oh, I think they got to look at it, giving away 2-1s and got cold feet big time.
Because it's a big ask, man, and giving it to a 29-year-old that, I mean, look, at the very least did just have an MCL surgery. And so, yeah, I mean, I think I think it's so easy to look at the players' names and only see the upside, and not care about the risk, and not care about the cost. what those costs ultimately mean for more team building down the road. But there's downsides to that Crosby deal. I think I don't know that I'm saying I wouldn't have done it. I'm just saying, like, I don't think it was such a slam dunk necessarily.
And I bet you where they sit today with Trey Hendrickson in the building, those 2-1s back, they feel a lot better about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, if look, the Cowboys, we won't talk about medical privacy, but the Cowboys' own expert got to look at his knee, and they got word on it, and suddenly the Cowboys are not interested in it anymore. Then maybe you should be lucky that the Cowboys didn't go through with that trade, right? Because like maybe it is a bad situation long term, and maybe he doesn't have a lot left on it. Again, he played what, like 2,500 snaps the last 2 seasons or something ridiculous. Like that has a toll eventually.
It's a lot of snaps. Man, that's a lot of collisions. that is a lot of collisions. All right, hey, let's get the mood back up. Let's talk about the draft. Let's get some good vibes going. We'll do that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right, I want to talk to you about FanDuel because college basketball right now, nonstop, big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. We got the tournament going on, early tip-offs to late night, West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board. And right now, FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Now, you can build any college hoops parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your need, and you can mix the spreads, the totals, the player props, and you can match and see how the slate is playing out. And then you can apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Now, the best thing to do, you can go safe, you can go bold, you can ride with the team you've been following all season, but look, it's your parlay, your style, and now with more upside behind it. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. All right, we're back. Cowboys Squad Show. Co-host of the Daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Landon McCool, former Cowboys coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. All right, so we're getting ready for the draft. We're in full draft mode. Landon, you and Marcus have been breaking everything down every day. So as we sit here right now, a little over a month away, as you go over it and you break everything down, who's coming out? Who is looking like the best fits from your perspective for the Cowboys? Who are you liking?
Well, now that you've got a 3rd round pick, it like gives you a lot more flexibility to be able to kind of go and get these 3 players that you need. And honestly, to me, I've done a bunch of these mock drafts, just like everybody has, I'm sure. And it seems like waiting on linebacker is probably the best way to go. And that makes empirical sense, right? Just because the position value of the 3 positions, cornerback, edge, and linebacker is the one that, you are usually waiting until a day 2 pick for or beyond. It's very similar. It's the defensive version of running back, right? Where it's just a depressed value at the spot. I do think that that's turning around a little bit, just like the running back value aspect has turned around as we kind of trend back towards running the football more in the NFL. But I don't think it's quite turned around. And I certainly don't think that unless you're a elite athlete at the position, that you're demanding a 1st round pick. And I should add one more thing that I think people forget to account for sometimes. The rookie wage scale has a really weird kind of loophole in it with linebackers where off-ball, Mikes and Wills are in the same rookie wage scale as 3-4 outside linebackers. They're all called outside linebackers, even though in the 3-4, your outside linebackers are edge players. They're pass rushers, right? So what that means is that the 5th-year option for these off-ball linebackers are also looped into the economics of the edge players at that same position. So 5th-year options for first-round linebackers are prohibitively expensive. Unless that player is an all-pro at his position, they are almost basically guaranteed to be a top 5 paid player at the linebacker position by their 5th year. So that's why you're seeing some of these teams release their rookie linebackers off of their after 4 years because of that. And so because of that economic loophole, because of the depth at the position and linebacker, because of the valuation of the position overall, to me, it makes the most sense, if you can, to try to figure out a way to use those first 2 picks in some order at edge and cornerback, which, again, also makes economic sense on its own because those are 2 of the 5 money positions, right? And then wait until the 3rd round. There's still going to be plenty of depth. You'll still be able to get a guy who could probably come in here and be, if not a starter, a heavy rotational guy at linebacker.
It's a great breakdown, Landon. That was outstanding. Well said. Like that.
I do this a lot. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's a daily podcast. So.
Coach, what do you think?
I think it depends on, who is going to be available at 12? Who is that guy? Is it
12 is the spot, right, Coach? That's the one I'm most nervous.
I am. I want to know because if Styles is sitting there at 12, you have to take him. Do I think he'll be there? Probably not. Do I think there's a possibility that Delane is there? I don't know if he gets past Kansas City, but a lot of this is going to depend on who is there, because in my mind, once you get past Reese and Styles, you're not going that direction at 12. That's the point I'm making.
100%.
And I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying about the numbers and the position and whatever. I'm talking about specific as far as who the guys are that I think could be there at 12, because I'm from the school right now that if those 2 guys are not there, Kansas City takes Delane, I could see Dallas moving back.
Yeah, if they could. That makes a ton of sense to me. And just to be clear, I 100% agree about Reese and Sonny Styles. All the things that I just said very much apply, but that just shows you how I feel about Sonny Styles. I think he is a rare linebacker. I don't think you see guys like this coming out very often. And I think Reese is also rare in the sense that he provides an elite level of pass rush that can be kind of sidecard into his position a little bit. So even though all the things I just said about drafting the first-round linebacker apply, I think Sonny Styles is such a good player, such a difference maker, that I would pay a 5th-year option on a guy like that, because I think that I could have the next Fred Warner, on my team if things work out there. And if Reese is there, I feel fine about paying that 5th-year situation as well, because I can use him as part of my pass rush as well. I will get the value out of him, and it's everybody else outside of that I really like. I think there's a whole list of guys that are first-round worthy linebackers, but not guys that I feel so obligated to take at 20 that I can't just wait until the 3rd round to go get my guy.
Yeah, I don't think there's – as I sit here today, I don't believe there's any chance that Arvell Reese gets out of the top 5.
Oh, yeah, probably. No,
so
there's no lie.
We're talking about double that to 12. No. And I do believe there's a chance that Styles, if he gets past Washington, I do believe there's a chance that he could be there. And if that's the case, if that's the case, then you go. I think you have to know who the top, 5 or 6 guys are. I believe absolutely We know who that is. Now, which one of these other guys is gonna fall to 12? Because I believe personally that's about all the true first round grades that you got.
Yeah.
Is about 10 or 11 or 12.
That's what I was going to say, right? Is that Sonny Styles and Reese? I mean, we could just stop talking about Reese. Honestly, it's not happening. Like
Right.
Sonny Styles is one of the very few blue chip players that potentially could fall to you at 12. I think all the rest of these guys, Mansour, Delane, all the other cornerbacks, the other defensive ends, I think all the rest of them are red chips, right? Like very good players, still first round players, but not the guys that I'm dropping
Not at
everything.
12. Yeah, not at 12.
Well, I mean, you may be forced to take one of these guys at 12. But
You very well may.
But the point being is, if a blue makes it to 12, you're diverting your attention from whoever is there, and that becomes your focus, right? And I think
I'm going to say, as a gambler, I would say that you have a better chance of somebody picking up the phone and calling you wanting to move up to 12, because guess what? They do want that offensive lineman. They do want
wide receiver,
whoever that is that has moved into that what I would consider very small pond of guys. That phone will ring, because somebody will want to get up in there and do that. Now, you say, well, might the Cowboys do the opposite? I don't think the Cowboys can do the opposite. I really don't. I don't think you could package.
I've got one caveat there. I think the one way you can move up is if you split your picks, right? Like if you trade up with your top pick and then trade back with your second pick, maybe into the second round, you give the other team the value in moving up from wherever they were in the second round to your pick at 20, and then that you pay for where you're going from 12 to 6 with that. Like, I think that's the one way, because you have 2 first-round picks. If you wanted to do like a mutual pick swap where both teams ended up with the same number of picks, but let's say Cleveland, right?
How many teams have 2 1s? Is it 5 or 6?
It's like 5, but I'm not even necessarily suggesting that you stay in the first round with these picks. Like, let's say it's Cleveland, right? If you wanted to trade like up to 6, maybe you could give them 12 and 20, and then they give you 6 and 36.
No,
and the pick moves.
No way. I'm just telling you. I think I like the way you're thinking. But I'm not saying that particularly. It would cost you. You'd have to give up 12 and 20, and you may get a 4 back if you move up to 6.
Yeah, I heard what they're asking for. It's ridiculous, especially in a year where it should be a premium to trade down. I still think that there will be a team that potentially would be interested in a move similar to that that isn't asking for $4 on the dollar in a year when trading back should cost you less, not more.
All right, let's do this. When we come back, just right now, look, this is not etched in stone, but right now as we sit here a month out, who do you think might be on the radar at 12 if there's no movement, if there's not deals made and the big names go before like we think they're going to go? Who do you think might be there, and who do you think the Cowboys might want to get? We'll get into that when we come back. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. What if sports were traded like markets? Well, now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. Now you can buy or sell positions live all game long. You can use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. Now you've always known the game, right? But maybe you never had a real dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Well, now you can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. So trade every play with Robinhood. now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. And a reminder that futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Even event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures, commission, merchant, and swap firm. All right, welcome back to the Cowboys Squad Show. That is the co-host of the Daily Cowboys podcast, Landon McCool, along with former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith, Marcus, and Aisha Morrison will be back with us next week. All right, so we're just getting the early stages here. We got a month to go, but we're talking about the draft, talking about maybe the Cowboys making a move, maybe trading down. But if they don't, and they hold on, and they're sitting there at number 12, and the big names go early like we thought they would, who might be left? Who's on your radar? Who are you hoping for, Landon, that might still be there, or that's a realistic option at number 12?
At 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mansour Delaney's the kind of guy that we're looking at right now that I think you're hoping falls to you there. I think Terrell, the cornerback from Clemson, I think it's kind of moving between your two picks. It feels like sometimes he's at 20, sometimes he's at 12. I do feel like he could potentially be a nice backstop, just in case you get wiped out. That he's a good player that I wouldn't feel terrible about taking at 12, especially at that position. I think the thing that's kind of changed a little bit with the cornerback conversation is the signing of Colby Durant, because it changed the archetype of what the Cowboys have been looking at corner. He's by far a much smaller corner than the Cowboys have targeted in years, and I think that indicates maybe a change in prototype, right, with Christian Parker's defense. So I think a guy like Terrell suddenly becomes a little bit more appealing than when he did at first glance, because you're not looking at it through the lens of needing to have 32.5-inch arms or needing to be 6'1". So,
do you like the move, by the way? Do you like the move?
Sam?
Do you like the move, by the way, of Durant?
I think if it works, yes. I mean, of Durant. Oh, yes, yeah. I do like the move of Durant. Yeah, I think. I think it was. I mean, it was good. Like I said, it was refreshing to see them kind of open this up a little bit, because I do feel like if they're going to solve this problem of acquiring the talent they need, they can't be so picky as to only get long arm tall corners. So and Durant's a guy that look, clearly LA was looking to kind of supercharge their defensive backfield. But Durant was a guy that was coming off of a rookie contract. He's a little bit older because he came out a little bit older. So he wasn't necessarily in the Rams' long-term plans. But, I mean, look at the production. I mean, this is a guy who played something like 35 games in the last 2 years, had 4 interceptions last year, 2 in the playoffs. Was a big-time player in big-time games at times. I think he's, a starter, borderline starter. He comes in. He's a guy that, if anything, his best ability is availability, right? Like, I mean, especially on a team where you've got 2 guys that are one who's a year removed from a major ACL injury, who's just kind of getting his feet underneath him in Revel. And then obviously we don't really know what's going on with Bland in his foot. So I think just getting NFL competent cornerback play is more than you had last year for most of the season. So I think it was a really good move.
Coach, too early for you to look at number 12? Anybody you're thinking about, or maybe?
No, I've already looked at the top 30. Sorry to bother you. But, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm really to the point where, I'm not comfortable pulling the trigger on McCoy, the Tennessee corner, who was hurt this year. I think it's way too rich at 12. Do I think he'll be there? I think there's a possibility he could be there. Do I love how he played as a junior? Absolutely. Do I think he fits the mold of what they want? I do. But a guy that didn't play this year concerns me. So I'm to the point where I'm really, to me, it's kind of, it really is. It's 2 guys. it's either Styles or Delane, or I'm going to do everything I can to get out of it. That's just where I'm at. Now, do I think that there's a chance that Love would fall there? I don't. But I know one thing. If he does fall there, I mean, you gotta do something in that position. And I think you'd get a bunch offered for someone to come up into that position and take him. And I think when you do that, then just have a plan of where you're going to go after that.
Okay. All right. I mean, again, Landon, you and Marcus have been hitting on this every day, and we've got a whole month to go. So I don't want to, I don't want to go pick by pick here, but I just wanted to kind of get a feel about where you're at and kind of see what you're thinking and what you're looking at.
The field changes every day, so it's not bad to check in every day, to be honest. So
yeah, exactly. So, we've back to the free agent part of it. I mentioned Bobby Wagner's name. We read something today that apparently there was a conversation. I don't know. It seems kind of hard for me to believe about Kayvon Thibodeau with the Giants, and that the Giants' asking price was too high, which I believe. That whole thing seemed kind of weird. Another guy that's out there is longtime Saint Cameron Jordan. So there's guys out there that are still available that, I'm sure they're waiting because they want to get the best deal they can. And I'm sure teams are waiting, hoping that price will go down. Anybody that you think could be a fit that's still out there?
I don't know about Jordan, just because I feel like he may not be a good scheme fit necessarily. Thibodeau, I'm not shocked, right? Because I'm sure the Giants are not willing to trade him at a good price to us, right?
Right.
I think still the name that I would continue to be monitoring is Josh Sweat from the Arizona Cardinals. I think that he's shown some displeasure with the situation. He just signed a contract last year, but so did Osa.
Yeah.
And I think with the new coaching staff, he's kind of getting a little bit older, and obviously familiarity with this scheme that we're in, having played in Philadelphia. I wouldn't be shocked for Arizona, a team that's really in a rebuild, looking to acquire some more picks. They'd be interested in doing a trade. And look, I thought one of the interesting trades you could do there is like, what if you traded your 12 and 20 for their 3 and Josh Sweat and some change? You give them some change.
What about Zaven Collins?
I think that's another very interesting name, actually, because I would play Zaven Collins at linebacker. Like, I would move him back to his college position in this scheme, because I think he would be really, really good as a Mike linebacker in this scheme, because he comes downhill a lot. And he would, it's that gap in the halves. So you're not necessarily having to be so instinctual flowing to the ball. You're going to blitz a lot, and you're going to come attack the quarterback. So I think Zaven Collins is actually an interesting name as well, but not necessarily how Arizona's been playing him lately.
What about if Bosa can pass a physical? What about giving him a 1-year deal?
I mean, I think that's fine. I think that's another kind of addition to your rotation. I don't know if that's a top end guy. I don't know that that's better than Gary or a healthy Ezeraku necessarily, but I think he's a guy that definitely would play and help your football team for sure.
You think you get anything out of Ezeraku this year?
Yeah, I think you get something. I don't think I think if anything, the change in defense is actually helping him in this case.
I'm not saying it's not, but I mean, he's a 240-pound guy who's got no lead in his ass.
That's what I'm getting
at. Having hip surgery, he has zero chance of going and putting on 15 to 18 pounds, which is exactly what he needed to do.
I don't think he needs to do that as bad now in this system as he would.
Yeah, he got ragdolled against better offensive tackles. That's who he's still going against.
But he still was good against the run for pretty consistently, especially at the end of the year. So
yeah, I need a guy to go get the quarterback. I can get a guy to set the edge.
Well, I think he can get there. I mean, honestly, if we all thought he was going to be a better pass rusher last year than a run defender, and it just wasn't how it turned out. I think,
I didn't think that, because I think it takes a year to transition into that position, especially at that weight, 240 something pounds. I mean, you got you got to have more. You got to have more lead in your ass. I mean, that's that simple. and having hip surgery, I'm not downplaying him. I'm saying having hip surgery, I mean, takes away from a lot of off-season work where you were hoping he was going to get thicker in that area.
Yeah, I get it. I just think that being in this defense helps protect him from some of that to a certain degree.
Let me ask you this really quick while we're talking about it. Just kind of taking a look at the off-season depth chart, if you will. So you got on the edge, you got Gary, Williams, Wheat, Odalai, Ezaraku, Houston, Leafau, and Isaiah Land. And then you have Quinnen Williams, Ogbania, Kenny Clark, Toya. That's about it right now. How much more do they need?
What are you said the edge. I mean, talking about the front seven?
I'm just talking about basically D linemen or guys that are.
Leafau's not a defensive lineman.
No, well, they're gonna
they moved him to edge.
Yeah,
but that's different than a defensive lineman in a 34 front. I mean, true. Okay, yeah, he could be an overhang player, but in a sense, that's an outside linebacker. I mean, I don't think they're going to go put his hand down, put him in a 5 technique.
No,
but he's going to be rushing the passer, is what they're suggesting.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can get a safety to rush the passer too if we call the safety blitz.
But I'm just saying, with those names that I read, how much more do you think they need for the D line?
Well, those are all different positions, but
I'm generalizing. It's a vague question.
They probably need like another 1 or 2 interior defensive linemen, at least. And on the edge, I mean, numbers wise, they're okay, but they're not talent wise. So they need, 1 or 2 really talented edge players, like, of whether it's 1 or really, really talented guy or 2 nice rotational pieces that could add up to a nice 1 really talented guy.
I mean, basically, you're talking about replacing Osa and Solomon Thomas, correct?
Well, except on the edge, but
I'm talking about inside guys. You said 2 on the inside, right?
Yes, those are the 2 that you're replacing Osa and Solomon Thomas. Yeah,
and then they need 2 edge guys. So I mean, that's why I said Bosa as a veteran guy wouldn't cost you a lot. I don't know where he's at from a physical standpoint, but I mean, I think he can still play at a pretty high level, because basically you're going to have somebody to replace Clowney.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, when we come back, I want to ask you, Coach, I have a question for you about just kind of this month and this time of the season, as we get closer to the draft. We'll do that when we come back. Final segment coming up. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right. Welcome to the 5-hour energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like confetti craze, fruity rainbow, or cotton candy. There is something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and you've got your number 1 pick for the 5-hour energy flavor draft. All right. So here's what you do. The best flavors are out there, right? Fruity Rainbow is really good. I think that should go number 1. And it's kind of an underrated flavor. I think the traditional berry is underrated as well. But here's the thing. 5-hour energy shots give you a boost with 0 sugar. They have a lot of upcoming flavor innovations planned, right? And so right now you can find your new favorite flavor of 5-hour energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or at Amazon. All right, here we go. Final segment, Cowboy Squad Show. Great to be with you. We'll be back with you on Monday. Before we do that, though, Landon, really quick, what do you, Marcus, have coming up the rest of the week on the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about some strategies on what the Cowboys should do to kind of, if they wanted to be aggressive and they wanted to kind of make sure that they got the kind of top end players we're talking about they still need. So that's going to be a focus of just some draft strategies to maybe boost their potential output from the draft and get themselves into a position to get some more impact players. So hopefully we solve some things. We'll see.
All right, so Coach, let me run this by you, if I could. So we kind of hit on this at the beginning of the show, right? We talked about the sense of urgency and what you were hoping for in the offseason. If you're Landon, right, you get your outlet. You get to do the daily podcast. If you're Coach, you get to do your radio show every day. But what's it like if you're part of the coaching staff or the front office, right? You know that you want to get better. You know you want to improve your defense. Maybe free agency didn't go the way that you wanted it to. You can't hurry up and wait. So what do you do? Do you make calls? Do you try to you meet every day and try to go over different scenarios? Like what's it like right now for the Cowboys and the front office and the coaching staff? Because clearly, if we're talking about how we want them to improve and they need to do some things to get better, obviously they know, right? They know that it's not good enough and there's still work to be done. But we live in a microwave society, but it doesn't work that way. The calendar doesn't work that way.
Yeah, so they better be out at these college pro days looking at players. They better have prioritized where they need to go and who they need to see. And I'm sure that's exactly what you're seeing these guys do right now, is make sure that, at LSU's pro day, there will be multiple Cowboys staff there. At Ohio State's pro day, there will be multiple Cowboys staffs there. So, you're strategically looking at where you want the staff to go and who you want the staff to put their eyes on. You've seen them at the combine, and now you want to go say, hey, this is who we prioritize and who we really like. Let's make sure that, our linebacker coach, our defensive back coach, our defensive coordinator, and Will McClay are at these specific workouts where they want to put their eyes on those players. I think that's really, really important, is to be able to be at those college pro days and have yourself there, again, getting as much information as you can get, and then maybe getting some FaceTime with these guys and, spending a little more time outside of what you got from an interview in Indianapolis. So I can guarantee you that's where they're at. They're out looking at these guys and getting their eyes on them so that they can see for themselves, basically what they've got. I don't question for 1 second that Christian Parker is going to be at the top defensive guys who they feel will be there. He will be at every one of those workouts. So he's going to be on the road for about 3 weeks here while all those workouts are going on.
Yeah. Landon, what do you think from you've done this? You've been doing these shows in this time period. What are you looking for? And you kind of hit on it that, they might have some options. I'm wondering, if their phone's going to ring for some of those picks and, if that's going to heat up at some point as we get closer to the draft.
Yeah, I think, I was talking about this to somebody the other day. It's like anybody who's like trying to talk about the depth chart or like showing pictures online of the depth chart and like, this is the depth chart currently. Like that's, what do you think, fans? Like, it's March. Like that's, I think that we don't play football in March. Right. I think all of this stuff, unfortunately, is very, very much about like being patient, right? Yeah. And that because there's just the process here has to play out right now. Like Coach said, they're doing these pro days, and then they'll go do the draft. And honestly, like a lot of the kind of things that everyone is looking for, that the deals that they want to see, like deals get made by deadline. deadlines, and there are no deadlines right now. So that, I don't think that I don't think people should be waiting with bated breath. Like I think it's a daily thing for sure. But I also think that time has not run out. Like we still haven't even had the draft yet. And the draft is not just the draft, right? It's trades, it's deadlines, right? Because now we are talking about like the opportunity and like losing these valuable pieces and what you do with these valuable pieces. It's not just about picking young players. It's about trading for veterans as well. So I do think that there is more stuff to come, but we are now in the spot of the schedule where these guys, these different groups are behind closed doors, putting their nose to the grindstone and doing the work that gets them ready for what happens. Oh, wow. Almost a month from today. So we're in the final home stretch. There's going to be a lot of talk by a lot of people in the media about a lot of different stuff. People like me are going to be talking about conjecture and rumors and all this. But while we're doing all this, the people inside those buildings, they are quietly doing their jobs from when it's dark outside to when it's dark outside again, trying to get ready to understand all these players. There's a lot of work going on. We just may not see anything, up until the draft because everyone's kind of in get prep mode right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Would you say that since it's been kind of quiet other than Kobe Durant and his signing, that for the most part until maybe after the draft, that right now the Cowboys, free agency, they've kind of done what they wanted to do up to this point, and now it's focus on the draft, and we'll see what comes up later as far as potential deals and then what free agents are available at a different price at a different time?
Yeah, I would think so. I think they're probably keeping their powder dry, as the saying goes, right? And I also think that there's a possibility that they have trades on the table that won't get executed until X happens on the clock, right? Or, hey, we will trade we will trade up with you if Malachi Lemon is available at 12 when you guys get there. And so like the trade's on the table, it's already agreed to, but it won't get executed unless the certain thing happens the way the draft board falls the way that it needs to. So I think, and that's also part of what they're going to be doing over the next month is calling around and just shooting the S with other GMs and say, hey, who do you like? What do you like? What are you interested in? Well, you want to give me a call if this happens? Okay, great. And just kind of seeing what everybody's, what their interest levels are on everything. So, I wouldn't be totally shocked if something happened in the next month. Maybe if as we get closer, like someone's trade price comes down just enough for it to become a viable option for the Cowboys or something like that. But I think if I had to bet on it, I would bet that we're probably going to be pretty quiet, maybe a small signing here or there up until draft day.
I guarantee you they're going to have they'll be that the Cowboys scouting staff, coaches, they'll have 4 or 5 mock drafts themselves. They'll give 2 or 3 guys. They'll say, okay, here, you guys represent these 2 or 3 teams. Okay, you 2 guys, you got these 2 teams. Now we're going to go through this scenario of having a mock draft, and they'll go through it. They'll go through it. I promise you, they'll go through it 4, 5, 6 times to look at, for instances, or who they think or what they're hearing, right? Because guys are talking. I mean, the pro day workout yesterday was at UTSA. I promise you, there's somebody out there that's talking, that's asking guys from other teams, y'all really going this direction? Is that who you really like? No, not that they're going to tell them, but certainly there's guys fishing for information at every single angle, and it's not any different than what we're doing right here. It's not any different than this exercise.
Well, Coach, think about, I hate to make people's head spins, but think about with technology nowadays, you can have 32 AI agents, each representing an NFL team, and put a bunch of inputs into them and have 1,000 mock drafts in a day, right? And just run out a bunch of simulations and see how it plays out. There's so many different ways to kind of get.
I mean trades. They're looking at who could trade into this. Who's going to trade up into this situation? Where might guys be going? I mean, I'm telling you, I think everybody in the world thinks that Mendoza is going to the Raiders. I'm not saying that. I wouldn't bet a bunch of money and say that I feel 1,000% confident that that's going to happen. I really don't. And I'm just being honest with you.
That's why they have the air conditioning, right, Coach? As you always say.
Why they air condition the desert?
Yep.
For guys who think they got the answer.
Exactly. All right, we'll leave it right there, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Enjoyed it. Always a blessing to me to get to speak with you and hear your wisdom. Appreciate it. We didn't get into the NFL talk, but we have plenty of time to do that. I want to get into that next episode or next week. Landon, have a great week.
Man, I want to talk about this officiating. Boy, if these officials go on strike, I'm telling you now, you talk about something that would, that make you scratch your rear end. I mean, if these officials,
NFL, don't do it.
I got to tell you, I got a lot of takes on that, honestly. And it's,
I'm telling you,
it's on the other side.
I think it could be. I'm having you on the radio tomorrow. I promise you, we're going to bang it out. I mean,
I'm normally a pro-union guy, but these referees they've gone around the bend. They're crazy. And that union is nuts. And so this is one of the things where I'm actually pro NFL on this thing, because I don't want to see replacement refs, but I want to see better refs. And the NFL referee union has been part of the problem for over 10 years.
That's what I'm going to come back and be in my next life, but it's going to be an NFL. It's going to be an MLB. I'm going to be
straight
lifetime gig right there. All right, guys, have a great weekend. We'll do it again next week. For Landon McCool, the coach, Glenn Smith, Aisha and Marcus will be back on Monday. Thank you for watching and listening. This has been the Cowboys Squad Show.